John, you have a report, don't you? You have to give us your reason for your longevity and how you became where you are at this wonderful age.
Oh,
In other words, happy birthday.
thank you. Medical science, believe me.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
birthday.
Thank you.
Vicki, anything?
No.
No. I have really nothing to report. Everything's pretty good so far, that way, so far. Okay, financial report.
You guys have the reports in front of you as usual. There's nothing outstanding to note, so I'll just let you review them.
I want to ask about dream catcher supplies. There's dream catchers everywhere here.
I thought that might come up. That is the Youth Mentor Program activities with the mentors and mentees.
I thought maybe you guys,
Yeah, they made some really nice ones, they were in here for a while.
well, you know, and you talked about Pink Floyd and everything, so I thought.
Ah, dream.
And North Lake Filtering, what is that? And there's a duplicate here too.
Yeah, so North Lake Filtering, we pay Intermountain ESD to filter their internet. We've done that. It's $100 a month. In August, I think it was, they charged us like $60. It was a mistake on their invoice, so they sent us a follow-up invoice. I paid one of them, and Jeremy paid the other one. In our transition, we're both still paying invoices, so it got paid twice. We'll have a credit for next quarter. Yeah.
Is that a local company?
No, it's up in the northeast part of the state, Intermountain ESD,
Okay.
The other thing, I was looking at Pioneer Saloon for the catering. Was that 2 meals or what was that?
that was about 127.
Yeah.
That was our big service.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I just, wow.
130 people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're that close, they bet that many people didn't even let you know,
I
right?
know,
That
they
was
didn't
what
send
you
me
were
anything.
asking.
Wow.
And that came out of a top one grant too.
Okay.
That wasn't ESD general fund dollars.
Any other questions? We're going really easy on Sarah today, and that's not good.
That's
No,
not a bad thing.
Going once, twice?
well, are we not doing as many Rosetta Stone, or they dropped the price, or?
So, in the past, we've had North Lake School as part of the Rosetta Stone stuff. They are having to go to a different program where they have a highly qualified teacher, and the Rosetta licenses didn't meet that criteria, so they're having to do something else. Yeah.
That wouldn't affect Paisley because they're a charter.
Right, yes.
Yeah. Paisley, their distance learning program, and then Fossil distance learning program, all three of those are on this Rosetta program, and they're all charter.
But they're all still accredited, I assume. Okay.
That it? Okay, thanks, Sarah. Bob, you're on. Supervisor report.
Yeah, I just happened to have, before I start, I'll just pass this out. This is what North Lake is going to use for their Spanish program. ODE has some sort of a contract with the Oregon Virtual Network, or what's now called Oregon Online, to provide a number of basically highly qualified courses to small rural school districts. And this has been a real godsend because ODE was really cracking down on things like Rosetta Stone because you didn't have a highly qualified teacher. So this came along at a very good time for us. Just happened to happen.
Is this going to be, could a student link onto this online at home? Or is this like it has to be a group or?
Want the report, I guess. John, it's my understanding that you have to, I only copied the one page. The second page of this was a list of eligible school districts. And every high school in Lake County is on that list. So there's some sort of criteria about rural and size. I couldn't quote you what it is, to be honest with
The
you.
price is excellent.
Yeah, $50, well, that's what I thought, even Lakeview, who normally has these kinds of bases covered, is just looking at this, just going, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. You know,
Yes.
gives them a little more flexibility. I don't believe that they can have kids take these courses if they offer them on site. But, you know, for, again, like Paisley in particular, or even North Lake, and in some cases Lakeview, you know, this $50 a year is just, it's an incredible deal. I don't believe it's something that homeschoolers or just, let's say, free agents can take advantage of. I believe you have to be enrolled as a student in those 3 high schools. That's my
And would,
understanding of that.
say the first one, AP US History, is that only going to be taught from, say, 9 to 10?
I don't believe so.
It's
I believe there's some, the way it's been explained to me is that there's some flexibility. I haven't talked to Dave, I know Dave Kerr is all over it with his foreign language up at North Lake, and it's my understanding there's some flexibility. I don't know if that means they're recorded or they're given at various times, I'm not sure yet, because
Okay.
this just rolled out.
Are these like advanced from high school or just high school level stuff?
This is all high school and college level
I was
stuff.
gonna say, because there's a lot of career things in there.
Yeah, it's all taught by highly qualified teachers, and it's, I think, you know, the State Department's paying attention to the fact that rural high schools are really struggling to keep those sorts of programs. You know, again, the last few years, as you guys know, the ESD, we provided Rosetta Stone, and, you know, for about 5 years now, this requirement that came out of No Child Left Behind of highly qualified teachers has just made that a very, you know, a very difficult thing to pull off. So, this is it's a good.
The Rosetta Stone, that worked well in Paisley, though, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah, I think it worked fine. It's just unfortunate that, you know, they set restrictions that are very difficult for rural schools to meet. So, we've got a meeting next week with Brian Putnam, and this is one of the things from ODE, one of the things he'll be covering with us. So I'll learn a little bit more about it. I'm just gonna hand this out. Oh, sorry, Dale, I'm probably one short. This is our feedback from the Marcia Moyer session. And actually, I didn't put this on here because I compiled this for Marcia, so she could look at, you know, the feedback and get an idea of what we're gonna do with her on October 23rd in Paisley. But the feedback was just overwhelmingly positive. But one of the things that I didn't put on here was that people raved about the lunch, the Pioneer Cinema. Great job. So I would say we definitely got our money's worth. So you can see there that overwhelmingly people thought that the stuff she did was really appropriate, really good. A quarter of the people didn't think that there was anything that they could come up with that didn't work. And as you can see there, next time, 41 people said just keep doing more of what you've been doing. So really well received. Very, very pleased with that. On a not so happy note, the teacher mentor grant, our appeal was denied. So we're just moving on. We have about $16,000 in our professional learning teams grant that was carried over from the end of last year. We had some other designs on that money, but we are going to, we're going to invest that in our teacher mentoring. Plus the districts are stepping up. The districts are going to provide sub-days and travel times for their mentored teachers. And so we're just pulling together and doing what we did several years ago in the absence of state funding. And Marcia's a trooper, and it's going to be fine. So in some ways, if we had gotten the grant, then we would have had to attend a lot of state trainings. There would have been a lot more out of class time, a lot more travel time, and frankly, I think the mentoring is going to be just as good. Do it the way we're doing it with our own resources. Happier note, the Regional Achievement Collaborative Grant, we were successful. We were notified 2 weeks ago that we're going to get, I thought we'd get $20,000. We're getting $42,000 to help support preschool and preschool curriculum and preschool professional development around the county. Vicki and I just finished a day or so of marathon meetings with some early learning folks. This is one of the few bright spots. They seem to, I know John was scratching his head about this last year too. The state seems to require a lot on early learning, but there's not a lot of resources being given to us to support this. And so this is kind of a neat deal. We'll learn more tomorrow. I've got this conference call with people from the Chief Education Office. You know, we've already talked to Judy Springer, who helped facilitate our kindergarten grant, which is continuing this year, and I see the two things just dovetailing just really perfectly with trying to help kids make the preschool experience in Lake County better and bridge the gap into kindergarten.
Will there be any preschool in North Lake?
They were really working on that the last couple of years. They had an Oregon Community Foundation grant. I don't know exactly where they are. I know this, they're not gonna start a preschool per se this year. It's still down the road, don't know what their timeline is, but they are still gonna do a lot of family engagement activities and try to get the ball rolling up there. And certainly we'll.
And Head Start in North Lake, that's.
You know, expansion, even, you know, the numbers are low, and, you know, we competed, we had to give up 36 slots to Hope Starter, early Head Start, because they're not
Early
giving
Head
early Head
Start,
Start
right.
0 to 3, they do. This is the second year on this side of the mountains, and so we gave them up. So on the expansion, we got 20 of 36 slots we gave up back. So there wasn't a lot, even though they said we're expanding. But the grant he's talking about, you know, it'll work on curriculum, so they're all following the same curriculum. Judy, getting out there, working with them on what school readiness, what they need to work with them. That's the goal. But yeah, I would love to see it, but I think early Head Start down on this side of the county will come first. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing Vicki and I are seeing, I think, more and more is that there is a lot of will around the state. There's a lot of desire around the state. Unfortunately, there just aren't very
No
many
money.
resources. And
No.
particularly in a place like Lakeview, and we know even here in the town of Lakeview, trying to keep a viable preschool going it's a
Yeah.
shoestring operation.
And you know, the sad thing about it, the irony is, who needs more early exposure than kids who live rurally
Yeah.
and have a
Risk.
culture that might include poverty, might include just all kinds of different things. It does not include going to OMSI at will or hopping a bus to go to the Children's Museum.
Well, you know, when the governor rolled this out, he said there would be a lot of slots available for families that can't afford to pay, and you could do the sliding scale, and was our intent in our new building, that second classroom, to do back-to-back so we could serve 40 other kids. But out of all the monies and the added levels of, there's 1,200 throughout Oregon that are gonna, 12 preschool slots.
Maybe.
So, you know, hopefully, no, that's a drop in the bucket, but,
But good, I mean, it's better than nothing.
yeah, but there's, Ford and Meyer Memorial are working with the hubs to do family and more group things, so we're looking at hoping that once it rolls out and the foundation's there, that maybe some monies could be for that, for.
Just more.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Layers.
yeah, you have to have your hub approval to write for the grant, but I know. It's Bob, me, and Ken Kestner mostly for Lake County.
We have 3 spokes in the
Yeah.
Well, 2.5.
2.5.
I'm not that great.
But yeah, that would, you know,
I
so,
guess that's
we haven't given up. If we have to spend that many hours in these meetings, we're always manipulating or thinking of ways
Well, I'm
to
glad you're there.
get the most.
My guess
so.
is part of the conversation tomorrow will be about finding some additional sources too, so. And
Money?
yeah, Ken Kester and I went to a meeting a month ago, and basically we're told that if we got this RAC grant, OCF and Ford Family would probably be very favorable towards giving us additional funds. So, but at this point, obviously this thing is just, very undefined as far as how we're gonna do it or even what we're gonna do, and so we'll just have to muddle our way along, but at least we are getting some resources to help preschool in this county.
That's true.
I have to say, he says he doesn't know that much, and so he's not doing that. He does a lot, and in a lot of counties, most of the money is going to the schools, K through 12, and for them to work on the OPK K part. And a lot of them are just tying it, wrapping it into the schools, and not really trying to build, you know, capacity in the community. And that's what Bob's been doing. He's been spending a lot of hours and using the monies that come through the school to also try and get that started, so it's,
Thank you
Well,
for your
right
hard
now,
work.
the schools are the ones that have the facilities that could actually do it.
some of them do, some of them don't, especially when they go to kindergarten, like here, it's all-day kindergarten, it's taking up all the classes.
Right.
So, and that's what's happening to a lot of, and some of the Head Starts used classrooms in the schools, and it was an easy transition.
Mhm.
They're getting kicked out of the schools because they need the classrooms, yeah, so.
Yep. Anyway, we'll keep you posted on that. It's, yeah. As John and I have discussed a couple times in the last year, it's no longer K through 12. It's like from birth to 25.
It's prenatal, actually, it's
Okay,
prenatal.
prenatal, I'm sorry. The rest of these things are just pretty much just calendar items. In fact, the OSBA Fall Regional is on our agenda a little bit later, but you know that's coming up on Tuesday, October 6th. The Lockers is catering at barbecued, tri-tip barbecued chicken, so should be good. There's been major changes to individualized education plans, you know, the basis of special ed program. And so we're having a webinar here on Friday, October 16th.
You have to go get a lot easier.
Yeah, it's, we're also on the 21st having a tag symposium. We got somebody from ODE coming down to talk to us about tag. That's one of those things that goes in cycles, talented and gifted.
Oh, is that, I wondered if that's what tag still meant.
Yeah, you know, the state's real, John knows this, the state's real quiet about talented and gifted when dollars are short, but when they perceive that we're in an upswing in funding, then they want us to do good things with tag, so.
They don't wanna pay for it.
No, there's never any money for tag. And then my final thing is the OAESD Fall Summit, which they do in Portland on Thursday, November 12th. That's before the OSBA convention, which, as you all probably know, is located in the Marriott in downtown Portland. There was some discussion a couple of weeks ago at an OAESD video meeting to try to move that summit out of downtown Portland. But the location they kept talking about was Hillsborough, so I'm not so sure that's any better.
Was it
I
Rick
don't-
Miniman?
I will be up there for that. If any one of you would like to go up, let me know on that OAESD. It's an all-day meeting, and it's, you know, it's kind of interesting, mainly hearing what other ESDs are doing and what's going on. And then if you're so inclined, you can stay for the entire OSBA convention.
When you asked if we had reports, we didn't, but I thought of one when he said homeschool. I had two people tell me that, and they wanted to talk more, but we got busy, and then I forgot to get back to them until just tonight, which I will follow up. But they said the information that they got at the beginning of the school year was really clear and precise, and that they felt very comfortable, and so I wanted to bring that out, and I'm,
That's a relief.
yeah.
Debbie and Geraldine and a little bit of me, we really tried to focus in on that and make things clearer and a little more warm and fuzzy for
Okay.
people.
Yeah, it was appreciated, so.
Is this where we kind of talk about what we're hearing as far as education goes?
Sure.
The word on the street is people have had it with Common Core math, and there's gonna be a revolt amongst parents. I've heard it from parents of all ages. They said, that's it, we're not doing it, it's ruining their life.
I think there's, you know, I've heard it as I've traveled around to board meetings and whatnot. And of course, I'm married to a first grade teacher. There's really two ways to look at it. A lot of it here in town has to do with the town curriculum, which is called Engage New York. And it's completely, radically different than math has been taught. It's not based on drilling, it's not based on a lot of book work. It's based more on getting kids to be independent thinkers, problem solvers. I've heard a lot about parents being very frustrated about not being able to help their kids with their homework.
people aren't buying what they're selling.
Yeah,
And that's,
Um,
if you don't have that,
yeah.
you're not gonna
That,
have
you know,
anything.
it's a quandary because it really is effective, and it really, and I'm hearing this not just in Lakeview with Engage New York, but I'm hearing it out in the Warner Valley and in other places where parents are saying, "Oh, I just don't understand this new Common Core math," but, you know, the schools are having to get the kids ready for the tests. And so this is, you know, but yeah, the parents and grandparents are very frustrated because all of a sudden kids are bringing stuff home and they're going, I don't know where to begin to help them with
And
this.
this is people who have that bit of frustration, it's everywhere from someone who maybe just barely got out of high school to college graduates.
Yeah.
That, if anything is in common, that's it. They've had it. And I think it's gonna be real interesting to see what happens.
Kind of what I've seen, it's hard for the way we learn math to even think the way they're trying to teach the kids, the way their kids are going at it. What? No.
Yeah, but you know, we're working with the kindergarten teachers started last year, and a lot of it is what we teach them in preschool, so that they have to problem solve and think.
Yeah.
If 5 is just not count 5, then you know, it's how many here and there and added. And it's just, we had to change the way you count your fingers. I mean, some of it seems weird to us even we're doing, but it makes them problem solve. And
Yeah,
they
that's-
have to think, use their own, and it's not just easy.
But if you don't have, you know, one of the, I think, biggest predictors of success is parents involvement.
Exactly,
And if you have parents that,
yeah.
I mean, unless they wanna offer a webinar to parents, how they can
Well,
prepare
they're
help
coming to
their
talk,
kids with.
yeah, they're coming to talk to our parents
Who
in
is?
October, Judy and the kindergarten teacher, to talk about the importance of parent being engaged with their kids.
Yeah,
But then and also talk about math and why they do what they do, and we're hoping that'll kind of make sense to them, or they'll last along as we're working with them over the next couple of years, and maybe by the time
I
they
just
roll
often
in,
wondered, what will happen if just a whole bunch of people say, forget it, I'm not gonna do it,
yeah.
and they're not taking the test?
Well, of course,
Yeah.
that's a very pertinent but larger question because, you know, this year, what has to happen is 30 days before schools start testing, they have to send a letter home explaining the ability of the parents to opt their kids out of testing. And even though we're under the gun to test 95% of the kids, Oregon has now passed this law that really makes it much easier to opt out. So I'm concerned about that.
Yeah, and schools get technically penalized.
They get penalized,
A certain
yeah.
percentage does not take the test.
We had that happen.
What happens to the kid if he
A
doesn't
lot
take
of
the
people
test?
opted out.
Emily is exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and like you said, we got penalized. A lot of parents just pulled their kids because
That's what,
yeah.
pulled them and said, we'd rather pull them out of the program than
Then-
hurt you guys.
Yeah, which was, yeah, but still. And the thing is,
Which hurts.
we're only a couple of years into this too, so, of course, I had one guy come tell me, it's a communist conspiracy, that's what this is.
Yeah.
Well, the Oregonian
Yeah.
ran an article on the testing, and I didn't see the math part, but it was a different portion, and the third grade, can't remember what subject, but they had to read a few paragraphs, analyze, you know, sector, et cetera. To me, it was entirely inappropriate for a third grader. Yeah, I just, no, that, they can't do that in third grade. But the 5th and 8th, I thought, wow, that's good. That is a good tip. They're gonna have to think
Yeah.
and so on.
But if they don't start working on that and thinking of that in 3rd grade, they're not gonna be there in 5th and 6th. And
Well,
if you don't start them younger, they're not gonna be there in
to me,
3rd.
the 3rd grade test was actually as hard
You
as
couldn't
the
pass it,
8th
could you,
grade
John?
test.
That's what
It
you want.
actually was.
Seemed just as hard as the
It's too
5th
much
and
for you.
8th grade level?
It was, but then again, I tend to think, okay, you know, they have to do really well, but there's undoubtedly a 3rd grade standard, and, you know, you don't
Yeah.
have to really list everything and so on. But it was, the 3rd grade standard to me was, wow. The 5th and 8th, very admirable. I thought that is something that would be a good idea to
You
shoot
think it,
towards
you thought
that.
it was attainable?
Yeah, yeah.
We can argue all night long about the actual standards
Yeah.
that are required under the Common Core, but the one thing that I just am completely supportive of is under the Common Core, the focus on student engagement, problem solving, you know, really being able to manipulate the material and use it. That's, you know, whether or not the specific standards are correct, I don't know. But I do know that the emphasis on good teaching is really ramped up under the Common Core.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Information board vacancy. If you were done, I'm sorry.
No, I'm
You're
good.
Keep it on task.
Board vacancies.
I took the liberty of having a conversation with Ann Crumrine to see if she might possibly be interested. She was a longtime District 7 board member. Didn't sound like now that she's county treasurer, that she's probably very interested in that. But she also was gonna put some thought on maybe finding us a candidate. I haven't really spoken to anybody else about it. I don't know if you guys have any ideas or. It's an at-large position, so it could be anybody. I guess I sort of lean towards, since Bob, you know, lived here in the Lakeview area, that it probably should come out of the Lakeview area, but that's not necessarily a hard and fast thing.
I just think anybody who'd be willing to do it, I'd love to have.
So, I actually, I spoke with Commissioner Kestner about it too, just to see, because you know, the one thing that from working with Bob for 2 years, he was, as you guys know, just so connected and really knew what was going on. I thought if we could get somebody that was, you know, that involved and knowledgeable, it would be good. And that was my conversation with both Ann and Ken, but so
Ken
far.
doesn't, he needs to be on another committee, doesn't he?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, we'll keep us surprised.
Okay.
Speech contract, which you've already signed, so.
Yeah.
Do you want to discuss that at all, or?
No, that's our contract with, what is it, Advantage Health?
Advanced medical.
Medical, Advanced Medical for Stephanie Johnson. I told you last time that it's really, you know, it's just for the first half of the year, but at this point, I'm relatively confident that we'll be able to keep it in.
You think so?
Yes.
Service contract.
We're gonna table that. Based on our conversation at the last meeting, we went back to Robinson and said we would prefer to pay quarterly rather than upfront, all upfront. And it took quite some time for him to get us another contract, and when he did, it was $300 more for us to be able to pay quarterly. So we are going to contact other alternatives, and we will get back to you on that one. We're not gonna pursue that at this time.
Okay, board policy, second reading. There was some discussion.
Yeah, as I said on the very first one, policy AC, the non-discrimination policy, it was, you know, prohibition against harassment or discrimination on any perceived disability or perceived status.
Wow, look at that.
So we were talking about what is perceived, and perceived because a person's treated that way, or that.
It just prohibits discrimination based on those characteristics,
Okay.
even if the discrimination is based on an incorrect perception, it's still prohibited. anything else in those.
Well, I'll move that we pass the non-discrimination policy as written.
Well, this is information, so we're not there yet.
Oh, that's right.
But nice try,
Yes.
I like that, okay, good.
Ah, let's.
You would
You just wanna
go
go
right to
ahead.
that vote, yeah.
Okay, so no more questions, are we all good with that? Okay. Fall regional meeting head count. I'll be there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Two.
sorry.
Oh, was there?
Oh, yeah, there was a
Yeah, in
couple.
the- in the-
Oh, yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah,
blue,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Sorry about that, let's go back.
Okay. That's where I was looking going.
Okay, so ACAR,
ACAR, we have some decisions to make.
shall or may?
Yeah, on, step 2, superintendent shall or may review the immediate supervisor's decision and may meet with all parties involved.
And which one do you prefer?
I can go either way on that. On something like this, I think since we're talking about a procedure, it probably should be shall rather than may. There's probably some example that doesn't come to my mind right now where may be a preference, but I think on something like this, I am totally fine with shall.
Okay.
ESD board, council,
Yep, complaints against the board chair may be made directly to the ESD council or the board vice chair.
I'm going for ESD council myself.
Yeah, we didn't
I
decide
could
which
just call them.
board
I would
vice,
hang
assume ESD vice,
yes.
A lot of people might not have any idea who the ESD council is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
and keep it in-house so we know if the chair's doing, just keep it here before we make a decision on what it's about and how to go proceed.
so everybody, or you guys some,
Well,
Johnny,
if
are you
we
okay with
don't
that?
wanna deal
I'm
with it, we
okay,
can,
yeah, I'm
Huh?
okay.
if we don't feel we're in a position to deal with it, we can.
Go, yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
yeah, later, yeah,
So that'd be
absolutely.
vice chair. Okay.
Okay.
And then again, in writing?
Yeah, I firmly believe that if you're gonna agree to extend the timelines, it needs to be, right?
Mhm.
One thing I thought I would add is step 3, where it says the board's decision will be final and will include the legal basis for the decision, findings of fact, and conclusions of law. If somebody really wanted to get pushy, if something went against it, I think you ought to go findings of fact and or conclusions of law. That would,
You know, people, yeah.
yeah, you may not want to put in conclusions of law.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might be
You want or
your
then?
findings of fact, otherwise you've got to maybe consult with an attorney,
Yeah. So it's
et cetera. Just make it and or.
Mhm.
And if you think you really have a great case with some legal backing, you could get it, but otherwise, if somebody really wanted to press the issue, if you came back and said, okay, here's what the board finds out, they could then say, okay, here's your conclusions of law.
Exactly, yeah, that's a good point.
Everybody okay with that?
Mhm.
Good.
Good
Okay.
time.
I think that was it, wasn't it?
There's one more that, on the tobacco use, GBK.
Environment prohibited use, down at the very bottom of the first page. School and/or community service may be required, a referral to law enforcement may or shall be made. It's, we're looking at this because it's a required policy. We're required to have this policy. Because the ESD doesn't run a school, if I was a principal or superintendent of a school district, I would definitely be saying shall, but I really believe based on how the ESD operates, it's a may is probably a better one there.
Well, I mean, shall, I mean, the direction is clear, I mean, probably will never have the issue, but
Yeah.
What does everybody think? Shall or may?
May is fine, I think for this, 'cause
Well, and let me explain my reasoning on that. We deal with students who are enrolled in other districts. And in those districts, they receive the code of conduct for the student handbook, and they are notified of the rules. Now, you know, so we may have a student come here who, since we're not part of that entity, I don't know that unlike if we have a kid smoking at the high school, where it's just an automatic, it's very clear, it's an automatic referral to law enforcement. Here at the ESD, a kid comes to, I don't know, give me an example, take a GED test, meet with somebody. I'm not so sure that I would feel comfortable making an automatic referral to law enforcement based on the fact that we don't have a code of conduct, we have not given them prior notification, they're not notified of our rules. So to me, I think a shall's appropriate.
Yeah. Okay. Jim, you okay with that?
But if they do it again, we're calling the cops.
And that was it on that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Head count. We got 1, 2, 3, 4?
I think I'm in town.
I
If
think we
I
got
am,
4.
I'll take the van, I'll let you know tomorrow, no, Monday, I'm not tomorrow. Yeah,
Okay, on to action items. Approve the medical contract, SLP. And I guess, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the advanced medical contract.
A second.
A second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're tabling 4.2, 4.3. Need a motion to approve the policies as changed.
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. With that, is there any late?
Wow,
Almost.
yay!
Almost.
Wow, wow, I'm
This
impressed.
Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, Dale was hoping for under 30.
Yeah, I didn't quite make the thing.
Gosh, though, but we
But I don't think
checked
it's-
quite a bit.
Yes, nice.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thanks for driving.
I'm sorry I started early on you. That was my bad, so.
Well, you know, you're looking at this angle and
It
it
did look,
looked
yeah.
like